Yeah, welcome back, guys. So let's continue the discussion. Mm, because we need to clarify the exact terminology, because there could be some changes that we do after every session or after every workshop. So we are not very keen on being rigid to any terminology. So now here the mathematics, again I would like to share the thought process behind using the term mathematics. As I have explained, the physical growth from small to big, that's a kind of mathematical identification that we can do through our observation. Now cognitive understanding is being proposed here as the state of awareness that includes the receiving and its processing, receiving of the information and its processing. Now, what is the ultimate cognitive growth? If we can stay undisturbed despite any information that we receive, if we propose that that is the ultimate state of cognitive growth, can we do that? If we stay undisturbed despite any other circumstantial or informational changes that we confront to. Now, how that can happen, if we can accept that, how that can happen, I'll just give you some example. Suppose in front of you, there are n number of information, n number of information. Now, when you look at one, you feel comfortable about it. Like you don't feel disturbed about it. No excitement, no depression. No so-called positive excitement, no negative depression. When you look at two, that time also you are not disturbed. Same goes for three and same goes for n. If this happens, if we call this as the ultimate cognitive growth, which includes the information coming in and its processing, obviously, because being disturbed or not disturbed depends upon the processing. So when we are in the optimal stage of cognitive growth, we are not at all disturbed by any external information that are coming in, right? So that could be a static or dynamic information. Now, if suppose we can identify the mathematical growth here, that we are able to accommodate 1 to 3 but not rest of all. Now after some time, if we are able to accommodate 1 2 3 4 but not rest of all, likewise if we term the growth of cognition, that can be expressed in mathematical, not with the intention of quantification, but just comparison of the change that is happening, right? So that's the proposal. Now on that, a few of the observation with Kunal's proposal. One is the facility building, like technology. Use of technology is also seen in other organisms, like nest of bird. That is also a use of technology they do. Like they do the modification of the nature that they have obtained after the birth. They do some modification to get some facility or some comfort, whatever we call. So this is a neural execution, because to bring a change in the circumstances is not always possible without the support of the neural structure of the individual. So this is because of the neural structure, this could have been done. And that's where the so-called problem also starts. But here we are trying to understand whether that is a really problem or it's a part of the progression. Like, for example, any new work, when we start doing, we do mistakes, right? But after we excel, we achieve a pattern, that time it becomes effortless. So all these problems, so called, could be, that's an, again an assumption, but could be a part of those mistakes in the progression. Now, intention is the neurological aspects and tendencies are that instinctive aspect. Now, on the aspect of the tribals, there was in previous workshop also, there was a discussion, and in another conversation also, like the tribals, they do lead their life accordance to nature, as we claim, but that's not their achievement, that's their situation due to which they're leading this lifestyle. Now that experience, as Kunal was rightly putting, that whether our experiences are conditioned or not, that matters a lot in the rest of the responses, right? So now if those tribals are exposed to the attraction, sensory attractions, which we all are exposed to, will they be able to sustain their instinctive life? Answer, a default answers probably is no, they cannot. Now, the neural expansion or the cognitive expansion will be understanding this aspect where this attraction of the sensory attraction with the intention is affecting our life and overall sense of life is the real achievement of the cognition. So with that, I'll just take some observation, then we'll go for the next phase of the reading, which is our primary topic today. But we are not bound by topic as such. We'll go as it flowers. Yeah, over to you, Kunal, if you have some observation to share.
You're putting me in a spot, Kalyan.
No. It's just that we are honored to have your inputs, and so that like we will grow all together in our understanding, if we may choose to call it as understanding or awareness.
Right. So I think the analogy about, if we put the tribals in the same sort of stimulus as ours, that's a great point. And the question I've been asking myself for a very long time is, what is the ultimate purpose of cognition? I mean, usually I was told that you need to find your own purpose in life, and I have started figuring out what is the actual purpose of cognition. Does cognition happen at an individual level, or does it happen at a species level? Because evidently, what you're saying is how product development and service development has been sort of put in the world, where we are actually making sure that something which is wrong needs to be adopted by more and more human beings to improve profits and actually create a much more certain life for urban dwellers. Now the question is not whether we should be asking if these tribals, if they are put in, let's say, urban stimuluses, whether they'll sort of break down or get sensually attracted towards that. Obviously that's going to happen. But as a systems thinker or a systems designer, are these the systems which we really want to design? Because what then is the ultimate goal of realizing the full cognitive ability which a human being has? And we'll come to Homo sapiens now. Let us assume that in the current blip of the universe, brain has taken center stage. So let us now not get emotionally attached to Homo sapiens, and let us just look at brain as a completely animate or inanimate, either ways, product, because it is nothing but a series of tissues put together, because that is where progression or evolution has gotten us. This entire attachment to the name Homo sapien gives rise to a perception which is dictated from our own perspective. But perception is whose perspective? Is it nature's perception? Is nature the building blocks of what's happening within me as an organism? And am I going against nature and creating these roadblocks for my own small term pleasures, because the absolute meaninglessness of survival is something which we cannot fathom and comprehend and come to terms with, because we have moved away from nature for the last 500 years? I think one of the major problems I've had with anthropology and ethnography, which sort of tries to study these social structures, is why the hell are we studying them and not living them? Right? So again, my question is, since you used, and very rightly so, you have to sort of tailor in, or narrow down the focus on very specific conversations to get started. So let us now come back to mathematical calculations. Let us come back to expansion.
Yes.
Expansion. Let us come to, because again, mathematics is a man-made tool, so it might not be enough. It is based on, it is as good or as bad as the awareness of
the... here. The word mathematics here, it is not used as tool, but with the lack of right word, we have used the mathematics, but we are trying to explain the change that is happening, which is actually from 1 to 2, 2 to 3 kind of, small to big kind of, like the physical aspect, you understood, right? Small to big. The cognitive aspect I tried to explain here, how the word mathematics, it is not to use the tool mathematics to calculate exactly, because these are customized operations that are happening within each individual. Like we are exposed to here, suppose number 1, the number 1 information, and I am comfortable, I am not disturbed with it. That means I have expanded myself to number 1. Similarly, to number 2, when I do, that time I grow from 1 plus 1 plus 2, 3, kind of, which is similar to the physical growth from small to big. Are you able to understand? So I'm not here to count and compare.
No, I completely understand. I completely understand that. Maybe my words are actually a little misplaced. Let me since you're saying that there is a movement from, let's say, 1 to 2, and in the physical sense there is movement from X to Y, is that a fair question to ask? What is the ultimate purpose of the epitome of physical growth?
Yeah. So I'll come to this point in a while, but I'll bring the point that you brought in your starting remark, that what is the purpose of cognition?
Yes.
If I propose this, the purpose of cognition is to make the change, the dynamics of the change, accommodative. What does it mean? That I am, as an individual organism, I am changing within, and my surrounding is also changing. Now, these both changes do have a dynamism. Now, the purpose of the cognition is to accommodate with this change. Whatever change is happening around and within myself, if those are accommodative to each other, not being disturbed by each other. If we term that as a cognitive purpose, how about that?
Uh, will this test? Will this see the test of intellectual debate across all Homo sapiens? With this definition,
Mhm.
stand true for all Homo sapiens?
If I
I
propose
mean,
for all organisms,
yes. Let us say, will
Sir,
this hold? Yeah.
yeah,
oh,
Devi.
sorry. Okay. Sorry, I think there is some lag, so I was not able to hear Kunal. Now, all right, Kunal, go
Okay.
ahead. You
Sorry.
were
Sorry.
saying
Sorry.
something.
Yeah. My Wi-Fi is a little weak. I apologize for that. So, Kalyan, I agree with you for all organisms. And again, I completely comprehend what you're saying. I apologize for the lack of a better phrase which might come out of my mouth right now. Physical growth is something which can be measured.
Yes.
How do we acknowledge at a binary level and the qualitative implications of something which we cannot measure at a cognitive level for all organisms? What I mean by that is self-awareness at the end of the day a self journey or something bigger than that?
It's definitely primarily the self journey. Then it actually expands to the universe. It has to expand to the universe. Like it's a kind of creation of self within, then dissolving the self with the universe. That's the normal structure or the natural structure of cognitive growth. So it's a from the zygote to multicellular organism. When an organism grow, it actually creates a self within with the limited neural structure or better or complex neural structure. There is a development of the self which one creates that is confined to this body only, that organism's body only. But progressively, with the cognitive growth, that has to get dissolved into the universe. So for that, this initial growth, initial formation is very much important. If we deny that initial formation, then this dissolving will be very difficult. Like, what do I dissolve? If I don't own anything, what do I dissolve to? Right. So let's proceed with our topic. Then we'll again continue on this aspect of the growth. Right, Kunal? Can we proceed a
Yeah,
bit?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. So we have actually we are yet to define grow love in this particular topic that we have started. Now, type of growth, little quickly, I'll just go through this particular animation so that we can be on the same page. So here, what growth we are talking about? One is the physical growth of the self physical growth. So body wise, small to big. Then there are physical relations that we have. Familial relation, like from parents we born, and then from us somebody else born, and that growth also gives a sense of growth, because my child is growing as a part of my body, so as if my body is growing further without being connected to me. That is what is the relational growth. An example of the relational growth that can be again going subtler to subtler, we can go further. Now the cognitive growth could be static and dynamic. So static is that aspect where the dynamism is missing with the information that you are receiving. Example is a book. If you are reading a book, after you have assimilated and processed the information available in the book, that particular book is of no use because it is not changing further. There is no dynamism in that particular piece of information. So this goes same with the skill also. When you develop a skill, after learning that particular skill, unless there is a dynamism in that learning process, that becomes a static, right? Now, dynamic cognitive growth is the growth where you interact with the dynamic entity, like another organism, which is also changing. So once you have accommodated with that organism, next day to accommodate with that organism, you have to actually exercise some modus operandi with your understanding and with your memory of the previous experience. So that brings the dynamism in your awareness. So ultimately with these exercises, we reach to a level, we try to reach to a level where this accommodation with the information that we are confronted to is comfortable, irrespective of the pieces of the information that we are interacting to. Now, so I'll skip this one. If time permits, then I'll come to the lifespan framework. Now, love is proposed as a perceptual discovery of self in anything and everything. Love is expression of life, which enables, so that means if it is an expression of life, then it should enable the purpose of the life, which is the growth. Now, what is the rational love that is being proposed here is, the rational love is a cognitive exercise to overcome the unnatural and irrational engagements of energy in the name of love. Because the terms that we get confused with the terms. Now, many things we call as reality, but we are trying to term as truth. Similarly, many times truth is termed as reality. Now we need to understand what is truth and reality. Truth is an absolute entity which is same for everyone as it is programmatic existence. But the reality is the sensation of the truth which is customized by individual. So we need to term the things mutually. We need to understand each other's term. So truth, when we will be talking about, that's an absolute aspect. So are we terming the love exactly the love only or something else? That's what we are going to explore in this workshop or conversation. Like the rational love is proposed as, I repeat, a cognitive exercise to overcome the unnatural and irrational engagements of energy in the name of love. Okay, there is a question, let me attempt that. A static cognitive growth means to interact only with non-living entities, or it also includes the interaction with static human being as the case may arise. So there is no static human being possible if that human being is alive. All the human beings, all the organisms are changing every time. So there is no static human being, Soparna, that we can identify. Share your observation if you are not comfortable with this proposal. Right. So after here, the rational love. So on this particular slide, I'll stop for the observation. Quick observations. Then we'll go for the types of the love. Maybe in the next session. Or rather, we can go ahead with these 3 slides that we proposed here. The definition of the love and little bit of the explanation of the love in terms of the growth that we have started with. Like if it is a love, then it should help me to grow. And what is rational love? Rational love is a process of disengaging the unnatural and irrational terms that we are using in the name of love. We are not loving, but we are terming that as a love. if we can remove those with some kind of deeper cognitive exercise, then the rational love, which is a naturally occurring thing within us, can emerge into. Yeah, over to you. Meenu, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. I just want to go back to the article that we were reading. Uh, so there, I'll just read out this part. Now let us talk about love. We identify an obvious question to the title of this proposal. Why to put a color to love? Can we not call love as just love? The colors of love in this article represent the different attributions of love. The rationality of love differs at different levels of sensations and its perceptions. Let us understand the mental states with respect to the different colors of love. Let's start with understanding what love is in the first place. Love is the perceptual discovery of self in others. So I'll just stop there and maybe sir, there I just see that it's a the perceptual word is used. So when we talk about truth and we talk about reality that you were explaining, so where does this perception lie there, sir? Or
So,
maybe if anybody else wants to just if we can discuss this line a little bit.
yeah, so perception actually is after effect of sensation. So truth is the physical entity that we confront, primarily physical entity, but there are ideas also in the truth that we can explore in deeper aspect. But primarily the physical experience of the truth is the first confrontation. After that, we have a physiological sensation that chemically happens within us, and when that happens, that lead us to perceive that particular sensation, whether it is acceptable entry or not acceptable entry. So that perception is that perceptual discovery. When we confront any information, whether that brings a kind of comfortable accommodation within ourselves, or is it disturbing and telling me that no, it is not acceptable. So that's what is love. That's what was the proposal.
Are you trying to say that uh, are we I mean are we saying that uh, suppose something is disturbing us in that perception, that cannot be termed as love?
Yes, yes, that's what is the proposal. And disturbance means it is not just irritation, but the excitement, the extra excitement, which is also disturbing, right? So let's be on the same page. The disturbing may not be so-called negative only, but also so-called positive also. Too much of excitement with the information that we are receiving, that is also a disturbance. Yes.
So, can our receiving the first part when we are confronting the reality, the physical, can it be so strong enough that it doesn't go through the other layers of, like, sensation would be there, physiological, but it may not be about processing it, because just the entry when you're seeing it as is, not without any, right at
So
the beginning,
strong here you're saying, if it is a
as in
strong, then it is a
sensitive enough.
gross. It's a subtle enough, you're saying, right? If the physical
Yeah, I would
entry
say it
is
is
subtle enough,
receptive enough. Yeah.
if it is subtle enough, then it may not affect the perceptory aspect, like the identified perception may not happen.
So
What I mean
Binal, I
is,
think is it is a strong
No, let her,
means
let
it
her,
is
let her
gross,
explain.
I think.
Let her
Is that
explain.
Binal?
for me, I feel that
Yeah.
seeing reality as is right at the beginning, so then it doesn't go through the other layers, which is the physiological or the
So that means
perception.
the sensation is very subtler when you confront the truth.
Yeah,
So
the
that
sensation would be,
sensation,
so physiologically it may be subtler.
yes. Physiologically, if it is subtler, then it will not affect the perceptory aspect. Yes.
So then we can't say that it's receiving plus processing it. Then it will be just receiving, right? Because the receiver is so strong that you won't need to comprehend or process it further.
No, but if the receiving aspect is externally driven, right? How do you control that receiving? That's what is my worry. Unless your processing is stronger enough,
So
the receiving is not within your control. Are you able to understand what I'm trying to explain here? How you're going to
wouldn't
control the confrontation, like whatever is coming to you, then you have to be confined in some region to avoid those confrontations, right? Unless you have
no,
a
so I'm not
processing.
talking about the external stimuli.
Uh-huh.
I'm not talking about the external stimuli confronting. I'm talking about my own ability to see things. And
Yes.
so
So
it's
that's what is the
internally
next
driven.
level we are talking about. One is that we are confining ourselves and we are not having any external stimuli as such. Other is being affected with the stimuli. And third is the one you are talking about. And we are actually striving to achieve that state where instead of having different set of stimuli, we are not affected with our deeper understanding of the inaction that is happening around. So that's a very different maybe discussion.
So, and in your definition, would you be able to just give a quick explanation of what is unnatural and irrational engagement when it comes to rational love?
Yes, that cannot be quickly explained. I think we need to rejoin, and this time we will be having just 2 minutes of silence, and we are rejoining to answer Vinal's question. So join with the same ID and password. 2 minutes, we'll start the conversation again.